Hello and welcome to episode number 92 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. We're a weekly discussion podcast created for Nintendo gamers by Nintendo gamers. It's April 2nd, so we're all safe from the madness that was April Fool's Day. And, today I'm actually joined by, my name is Daryl, by the way. Today I'm actually joined by a pretty special panel. A lot of new people, but I'm going to start with not a new person. Hey, TJ, how you doing, man?
Well, by all accounts of how it sounds on paper, I should be amazing, but I'm just feeling mostly good and kind of bad. That's called foreshadowing. Otherwise, yeah, I'm all right.
I have all the tools to feel amazing, but I can't figure out how to use them in any way that involves anything fun.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm with you. And today, joining us from a long time ago, Big Shot, also known as Kellen. How are you, man?
Doing great. I'm excited to be on the show. I am not effervescent, but I am excited to talk about our favorite plumber, so stoked to be on the show.
Very nice. And the person who tends to only join us on Game of the Month episodes for some reason, but Nathan Naprat, how are you, man?
Doing well.
That's it?
I don't know. You want to get to the Game of the Month? This is one of my favorite games ever. Let's do it.
Well, let's do it then. So yeah, as you've heard, this is our Game of the Month episode for Super Mario Maker 2, and we decided to bring these guys in because we've been playing Super Mario Maker. Well, we were for the entire month of March, and you guys were heavily involved with like playing levels and making levels and such. So we're really glad that you were able to join us. I had a lot of fun with it, but I think it's time to finally really talk about this game. Like, I feel like last year. It when it came out, it kind of came out and was big for about 2 weeks, and then it just kind of died instantly. And I think everybody was a little disappointed in that. So, first off, going back to this game for another month or so, how did that feel? Like, is this something that you felt was kind of justified?
I was excited. I'll say that. I mean, the kind of the evergreen quality to Mario Maker 1 and 2, I suppose. I only played the second one. It really keeps it fresh. It's, they say there's multiple millions of levels there now. It's not like New Super Mario Brothers where you come back and, okay, I've already played all these levels. You take a few months off, you come back, and there's a million new levels for you.
For me, I agree. It has the evergreen quality. It has the evergreen quality.
I can already tell this is going to be great.
I agree with that. No, I'm going to keep it tempered. But this month, I had fun, but it was because of who was involved, playing with the community. But at the same time, I was also reminded of why this game faded away so fast. If you hear me on past episodes, I thought it was because of Fire Emblem kind of casting a large shadow over this game, but I feel like it would have happened even if there weren't other releases. It's just the way the game is. It comes in a wave, shout out to Kevin, but it also just kind of just crashes back down too. So we'll get into it, but there's just something about this game that I just can't put my finger on, but a month was enough for now.
And Kellen, you played it originally too as well, right? Like, how did it feel getting back into it now?
Yeah, I was really excited that it was Game of the Month. It's kind of ironic. Each month that we've done this Game of the Month, the game that I vote for and kind of throw my support behind always comes in second. So I did not vote for Mario Maker 2, but I was excited to get back into it.
What was your number one?
My number one, I was supporting Stardew Valley, I believe, was the second runner this month. So a little disappointed it didn't make it, but still stoked about Mario Maker 2. I've really enjoyed going back to it. It's made me realize that even though I've kind of shelved it for a couple months, there have been plenty of content creators that have been hard at work making a lot of fun levels, and it's been fun to go back and look at, those 4, 5, 6 months worth of levels that were created while we were gone. So it was great, but kind of like Shai said, just coming back and playing as a community really made a big difference for me. Because it's a game that I kind of struggled just picking up and playing for a couple hours on my own. It's a lot easier to start up and see like, hey, Decoy or Egg created a new level and I want to go through and I want to play it. So it's been great having the community involvement. I think that's been my favorite part of this whole experience this month.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing from when we were all playing it last year was, there's been updates. Like, there's the Zelda update and there's a lot of new items that were added to the game. really since that time, and you can actually do like multiplayer with friends now that was not available at release, shockingly. So we've actually been able to kind of experience a lot of the new stuff, and just uh, I had a couple brave moments and went into the random levels that were created just by just uploaded by people, which is always kind of a entertaining time. And for a couple of them, I was actually impressed with what people managed to pull off in Mario Maker. Like, there were a couple times that I'm like, I really, literally have no idea how you made this level work like this, and that's just impressive. So it was kind of interesting to come back after people have kind of, some people have gotten, a lot more complex in their level designs, I'll say.
Yeah, and I mean, you're absolutely correct. There are just some real gems out there. But this game made me realize those are kind of few and far between. And even from the creator's side, man, making a good level is really hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of testing, and then you post it only to learn it's actually broken because you're designing inside your own head and you can't account for what other players might do, or something seems obvious to you and it's not to them, or you never got soft locked here because you always knew to run at that point. And so my hat goes off to people who do manage to pull off those gems out there, because it was a reminder. It's difficult, and it also kind of adds a little extra wonder behind the Nintendo magic. I know they got a full team of professionals, but still, this game made me realize just level design in general, yet alone designing a whole game, is incredibly difficult. And what some people can do with those tools, it is amazing. I just wish there were a way to filter, like have some type of voting, so you could say, hey, these
only show me good levels.
Well, if there was like a voting system or something, hey, only show me levels with an approval rating over 90% or something. But I'm with you though. There are definitely some real levels out there worth exploring.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but let me go through a little bit of the game of the month format. So the way we actually did it, each week we set up a series of challenges, both for making and for playing, and the different challenges. So especially with making, the idea was, okay, under this certain parameter, like week 1 was using like wind or low gravity or can't touch the ground, wind conditions. Week 2
or upside down.
Or upside down, yeah. Week 2 was all water levels, which was actually kind of interesting, or auto scroll or vertical. We were just trying to give like some guidelines to, okay, if we want you to make a level, but kind of think outside the box from what you would normally do. And I honestly, like, Shy and I both definitely tried to meet our own challenges, and just from my point of view, I had the most fun trying to come up with what the challenges were, and then trying to figure out my own spin on, okay, how am I going to accomplish that? Did you guys kind of feel the same way? Like, was it easier or harder if you already had kind of a guideline? I want this level to be this overall theme.
I thought it was absolutely easier. One of the hard parts about a sandbox mode is what do you want to do? So I think kind of having a reduced scope was helpful for sure. And I mean, I've got levels still in progress. Level design is time consuming. You talked about water,
oh my God,
and I
yeah.
got a half done water level, even though you asked for water levels 3 weeks ago. Life gets busy, especially March 2020. But yeah, I did like the prompts, and I mean, there is an argument that maybe NJP shouldn't need to provide the prompts, but maybe that you could get tweets from Nintendo of America asking for people's take on this or that, but that's they've moved on, I suppose.
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm not like super creative just naturally, and so to have a game like this where you have every tool available to you to make any sort of Mario level, it's a little overwhelming. And I found when I first picked up the game, all my levels would revolve around like one specific item or gimmick. I'd use the on-off switches, I would use a certain enemy type a lot, and that's just like the basis of my whole level. So to have kind of the direction with the prompt, I feel like really helped me. Um, they were also kind of challenging and made you stretch because I believe it was the question of the week a couple weeks ago, like what types of levels we just despise. And my first two thoughts were wind and water levels. And so just naturally, those are the first two challenges we have. And so I had to kind of like sit back, look at the tools and be like, okay, how can I make myself not hate this level? Like, how can I take the nature of a water level and try to make it more fun? Or take like the most boring part of trying to like swim or repeatedly press the jump button to just stay alive, like in a big part of the level. Like, how can I make this more fun? And so I think the prompts were an awesome way to really run Game of the Month this time around.
I mean, I had fun with it, and like I had never created a water level before, and I was an early adopter for Mario Maker 1 and 2, and just for whatever reason I never wanted to make a water level, so it was kind of interesting. I never made a Zelda level before, and I got to make one of those, and you know, just it was interesting to kind of go with that, because I gotta say the most intimidating part of this entire game is you hit the little reset rocket when you're making your course, and then everything's gone, and you're like, what the heck do I do now? How do make level? I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm more of a give me a problem to solve, not don't give me a blank canvas. And or my other thing is, okay, I have this blank canvas and I have this grandiose idea, only to play test it and realize the idea is crap or it doesn't work, or the game limits me and I can't put as many pieces as I need to make it happen. And then I'm just like, I don't want to make levels anymore. But the blank canvas is intimidating. That's why I was glad we had the prompts as well. And it was nice because I never made a water level either, because I'm with you, Kellen. I hate water levels, but the community actually did a great job and made a lot of fun water levels to play. And it was interesting because we went from low gravity to water levels, and water's really just really low gravity levels that the community members really took advantage of the mechanics to the way their levels flowed, and they were a lot of fun. That was like the first time I like willingly replayed a water level like in my life. So yeah, I thought the themes, plus it added variety. It didn't just make sure everybody did the same thing, just hold down the run button and jump, you know, until you hit the goal. Everyone speed runs. So it created a lot of a nice variety too in the community as we went through this month.
Yeah, I actually thought that, and we put out a little survey for the people who were playing along with the Game of the Month, and honestly, most people preferred the water levels, which to me is kind of shocking, actually. Like, but I can't disagree with it, because like that week was by far my favorite, and I have a few reasons why, maybe, but I will probably get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk. Okay, so we've talked about exactly what we did. What are your overall thoughts on the actual maker? Like, so this game is really like split down the line, down the middle, halfway playing, halfway making levels. So let's talk about the maker a little bit. What are your, what are your overall thoughts? If this were only a maker, would you recommend this game?
I think if it was maker only and didn't have the play aspect, the story mode, I think it would be hard to recommend. Making levels is hard, and sometimes it feels like work. So I think having the play there is and playing other people's, playing all the story mode is essential for this to be a real, retail release with the fun escapism that people are looking for.
I think overall as a maker, it is very solid. I think they provide you a lot of different tools to make a lot of different kinds of levels, and they explain how to use all the different tools very well. It doesn't feel unnatural to make a level. I think one of the most underutilized parts of the Switch is the touchscreen. So to be able to utilize that in building in handheld mode, I think is huge. Just being able to like drag your finger across the screen and draw like a slope, or draw, a floor or a wall. So as a maker, I think it's very strong, but I think I'm with Rad on this one, that the single player, which I really hope we get around to talking to, really gives you like a full-on Mario experience and make sure that you play some quality levels, because as we've seen, it's hard to make quality levels and it's also hard to find them online. So to have those like Nintendo quality levels to play through on single player, I think also really extends the life of the game.
And those levels also do a great job of introducing you to what the mechanics are and gives you some inspiration of what you could do with them, which does make the level making more creative. I've learned I had to make levels with the Pro Controller because anytime I tried to play in handheld, my son would run over, look what I was playing, and take the game from me.
Yeah.
But he's now beating levels. He went from he just liked to run and watch Luigi die and he would laugh at the little death animation to now he's actually like beating full levels. He doesn't know how to get into the game. He restarts it where the title screen, he plays that level, he keeps rebooting the game for that. But I got an education in how to create levels with the controller only. And at first I hated it, but then once you
it's awful.
well, when you get used to the flow of it, it's actually it's almost like on a computer. Once if you know a lot of keyboard shortcuts, you can actually go faster. Except my one gripe is if zooming out, like you can do the 3 levels of zoom, and when you're the most zoomed out, all you can do is multi-select and copy. Why can't I put items down like normal when I'm zoomed out? Like that drives me crazy. I don't want to have to be all the way zoomed in when I create. But you also can't help but feel creating would be pretty awesome with a keyboard and mouse. I understand they're not going to put this software on a computer. I just wish if you were docked, a USB keyboard and mouse would work with this game. If they could add that support, I think it would take creation to the next level. But as to what the other guy said, the variety of tools is impressive. And I understand that you can't make an impossibly huge level. There are memory considerations and everything, but there were so many times where like I needed just like 2 more enemies or 1 more set of doors, and like the limitations sometimes feel arbitrarily low on some things. But overall, I mean, it's a robust tool set that it's an impressive maker. It's kind of hard to argue against. I don't know what else they honestly could do other than, like I said, letting me put tiles down when I'm zoomed out.
Well, it's so I think that like if I'm looking at Super Mario Maker 1 or 2, I had the same type of experience with both. The Maker completely shocked me in how good it is. That is by far my favorite part of the game is playing around with the Maker, tooling with my levels and, seeing what works, what doesn't work, that kind of thing. I love it. I really do. And I love how they kind of just made it a game. Like I mentioned, like there are some people who've made levels that I honestly have no idea how they made them. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of like little nuances and tips and tricks and stuff that they're not obvious, but if you just kind of play around, you're like, well, can I do something with it? Oh yeah, I can. Like I learned how to make red POW blocks that actually destroy bricks, and I was like, wow, this has been there the whole time. Like
I still don't know how to do that.
yeah, it's just a hard press on the blue POW block and it turns them red. I mean, like there's so much of that. There's little things like the updated soundtrack when you're making levels and you're putting blocks and it's like singing to you and such. And there's a lot of like these really funny little interactions, like when you're trying to delete a bunch of blocks and you kind of go over Mario. He's like, no. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny. Like they put a lot of like personality and gamemanship into the Maker that I really, really grew to appreciate. But like TJ said, I also hit a bunch of just why can't layers. Like why can't I do this? Like what is stopping me? And I'm gonna go one more on you. Like not only can you not add 2 more enemies, there's a bunch of items that are all kind of linked together as the same type category. So if I were to put a dozen Goombas, then I've adjusted how many crates I could put at a different part of the level. It feels like, why? Like what's the purpose for this? Why are you doing it? You can only have so many doors in the level, but if you make a sub level, then you can add more doors. Like why? Again, like I don't know. So I like there was always like a little. I have this grand plan, and then I've got to kind of adjust my grand plan because it's just not going to work within the concept.
It feels like Nintendo put walls around the sandbox in kind of a classic Nintendo. We know better than you. This is as many doors as you need. Let's keep it simple.
Please stop putting Hammer Brothers.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm just upset there's not a limit on those guys. Like, you can shove 20 of those in a level, but heaven forbid you have like 100 Goombas,
The number of Hammer Brothers really should be capped at like 2. Like it really should.
Agreed.
Like, those guys are just awful. Like this game, I'm gonna sidebar for a second. This game has made me learn that I have this like unadulterated hatred for Hammer Brother. I just hate them like so much.
Just a bad
because
time
it's
to
just-
tell you it's going to be the next Fighter After Arms and the Fighter Plus 2.
Yeah, for sure. It's absolutely gonna be, and his final smash is just summoning like a couple dozen of himself and just filling the stage. Yeah, that's great. But but anyways, I think I really enjoyed the Maker. Let's move a little bit over to the side. So we keep mentioning like there's I think 100 single player levels that were actually designed by Nintendo, so actual quality levels. If you're buying this game for those levels, does that feel like a Mario game? Does that feel like a full-fledged thing?
It feels a little disjointed because there's no, I mean, there's kind of an overall story, and it was adorable. Honestly, that part of the game was higher quality than I thought. Would I recommend to somebody that those 100 levels alone is worth $60? Probably not. But at the same time, are those levels in that story more robust and higher quality than they ever have any business being? I think so. But from what I can gather, I think you guys are fans of it too. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my favorite parts of the initial release. Was I would get lost in the story mode. I wanted to finish that castle. I wanted to learn all of the weird things that were in there that weren't in Mario games that I had played before. And I thought it was an excellent introduction. I mean, a lot of the levels were really sparse, unusually sparse for, Nintendo designed, but they were trying to keep, your focus on a particular tool, a particular gimmick, and really teach you what could be fun about it. I thought it was a great campaign. I really did.
Yeah, it's definitely marketed as a maker game rather than like a full-on Mario adventure. Although, I mean, Mario games don't necessarily have like the strongest storylines or like compelling plot, but it really felt like just a 100 level tutorial, but in the best way. I don't mean to have that come across as like condescending or demeaning towards it because the levels are really fun. They aren't
How dare
necessarily
you?
they aren't necessarily long, but they really teach you how to use the different items in the game, which is really nice because I grew up playing like the first three Marios on the NES, but then I just kind of took a break from gaming, and so I missed like all these different power-ups. And so playing now, like having this bell that turns Mario into a cat, like I had no clue what that implies, what different powers come with that. So to be able to play a short, concise level that really lays all of that out, I thought was really cool. One thought that I had on the single player was the Luigi function, kind of just to boost accessibility. So for those that haven't played, once you fail the level twice, Luigi kind of pops up in the bottom left corner and is like, "Hey, bro, looks like you're having a hard time beating this level. Like, can I help you out?" And you can drop different assist items or just add any sort of power up to help yourself on your way through the level. And as much as I appreciate that, I'm like, man, you lose twice on this level, and all of a sudden, little brother in the corner is like, "Step aside, big bro. Like, I can beat this for you." I always just felt like slightly insulted that you only get 2 tries before he pops up because some of the levels are challenging. But I do appreciate the accessibility, but man, I definitely felt insulted.
Little Microsoft paperclip pops up. It's like, hey, looks like you're having problem beating this easy peasy level. Can I help you? You're like, no. Dang it.
Yeah,
The answer will always be no.
the game committed a great sin. It made me hate seeing Luigi. I was like, "What? Go away! No, I'm learning." But
When you talk about Mario and being light on plot, supposedly they're making a movie here, like a new one, and that's I don't know. I am curious, perhaps morbidly curious, because it's fun to see a car crash. But where are they going to find the plot for this? I've watched the other Mario movie, and you know.
let's hope that's not foreshadowing.
Yeah, I think I grew to like the single player stuff. It did feel a little shallow for me, but I enjoyed it. I will say, like, for all of their efforts trying to figure out, show you how to use a lot of the tools, I don't know that necessarily translated to the majority of players. So, like, this game is obviously marketed. There's millions of Mario levels in this game, right? What experiences did you guys have with those millions of levels not designed by Nintendo?
Well, I'll start with my my nephews or I guess nibblings. There's some ladies in there too. I have a moral obligation to play all levels that are produced by kids who are related to me or my girlfriend, and
Oh no.
and I have tried as hard as possible to beat every single one of those levels. I've recommended a few of them to the community, but it is unbelievable how hard kids can make a level. They're 8 years old and they beat it, they cleared it, and I am super, super, super struggling to beat this level just to like see them again next holiday, and not have like, to cover my face in shame.
And my daughter would make an insanely hard level and go, "Here, Dad, beat this so we can upload it." She always wanted to see if Daryl or Dragon can beat it. She's like, let's see if they can beat it. And I was like, honey, if I can beat it and clear it, they can beat it. You already know the answer to that question.
The level she made was great, though.
She'll be happy to hear you say that. My experience was like, why? Why do we have to make every Mario level a flex? Why do they have to be so hard and require all these crazy skills? Like, to me, Mario levels are about creativity and fun. Like, I should be able to take my time. I shouldn't have to be sprinting and pixel perfect wall jumping in this absolutely slippery, heavy physics game. To me, the levels, while some of the advanced levels are impressive, and it's fun to watch what some of these guys can pull off on streams and things, like, that's, to me, not the spirit of Mario. And I just get tired of those levels. I don't want to play a level for 25 minutes just to figure out what I need to even do before I can beat it. I would rather just go do something else at that point.
Some of the best advice in the game comes from the pigeon.
Yes.
And he's really quite hidden away. And he says basically what you just said there. And I do, one of the things I hoped for in the story mode was that either they're going to give you a completable but impossibly difficult level, and then the pigeon comes in and he's like, "Hey, you having fun? You frustrated? Like, don't do that to other people." And I thought that was a missed opportunity. I have been trying to counsel my nephews that I saw a month ago to make easier levels. If you are having a really hard time with the clear check and you designed it, it's going to be even harder for other people. Maybe if you want people to play your levels, maybe make them easier.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, they should have made that like a user agreement at the start. Like, you play that level and you're like, hey, I agree to make fun and good levels. Like, I don't know.
Well, what was your experience, Kellen? I know you went through and posted like 4 levels in our last week. You did some kind of sifting and quality checking for us. What was your experience going through these random online levels?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my non-Nintendo experiences, or at least experience in this game for levels that weren't created by Nintendo. I actually thought back to when it first released and all the hype around it. I mean, there were so many different actual like people and companies making levels. Wendy's put out like a full playlist of levels, and they were actually really good levels. Like, I sat down and played through all of them, and they were a blast. Like, you're jumping through the sky on hamburgers, and you land like in French fries, and then you finish out like in a soft drink, and it was just like incredible to see. Arby's and even Target made levels, so I mean, the non-Nintendo involvement is awesome. Those levels definitely felt higher quality than me browsing online trying to find levels to post on our Discord for this challenge. I did go through and I found 4 levels that I really liked, but to be honest, it took a lot of time. Sometimes it took playing through 20 different levels to find one that I really enjoyed. So the game does offer some sort of functionality in being able to search for levels that were well liked. You get to see the clear rate before starting, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And there's obviously like a brief description.
0.2%. Oh God.
Yeah, looking at you, Sergio. But I mean, yeah, I feel like some of the tools are there, but I definitely feel like it could be better because you have the option to like give a heart or a like, or you can boo. And I'm not necessarily what the boos do. I don't know if it just like sends a notification to the creator like, boo, your level sucks, or like what exactly happened there. But going through and trying to find those levels is a challenge, but there definitely are gems there. And I feel like for every, 10, 15 levels I played through, finding one good one was still worth it. But yeah, it's hard. You go into like the endless challenges and you're just thrown like random level after
Oh,
random
Lord.
level, and you just wonder like, how in the world some people came up with this idea for a level. Like, I'm
Well,
trying to
and
go
then
through and earn a T-shirt where you have to have like 100 level win streak, and I can only play like
oh
10 of
Lord.
those before I have to take a break. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with some people, to be honest.
Well, I think a lot of that could be fixed if you could just preview the level. Like, let me scroll through the level like in Maker mode. I obviously can't edit anything. Just let me see it. Or, give me a widescreen view of the whole thing, or give me a video clip of somebody finishing it so I could see. I don't have to spend 20 minutes going,
And then allow you to skip if you see more than like 20 spikes in it. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Spike balls. Ugh, spike balls.
yes, traumatic stress now. But yeah, just like a basic, like on some level, I love this game. On another level, there's so many like little tiny changes, quality of life things that would make this from like a good to an amazing game. Or like, why can't we preview levels on the phone app and go, hey, that one looks interesting. Button push. Ooh, when I get home, it's ready to go when I open the game up.
What's funny about that is on the original Super Mario Maker, you kind of could do that. So there was a website you could go to and find levels and like preload them to your system and stuff. Like, it had that in place, and it's not here, and that was kind of odd to me at the time. It still kind of is, but like going back to a couple points, Super Mario Maker 2 is a case. It is probably the best case that I can think of for quality assurance testing by somebody else. um, what I so I tell this story a lot. Like, the original Battletoads is a brutally hard game, and that grew because the quality testers kept getting used to how hard the game was and say, "Nah, it's too easy, make it harder. It's too easy, make it harder." And the developers were like, "Okay," and it was just kind of blind on that. Whereas if you go back through like the way Nintendo actually designed the original Super Mario Brothers, they've talked before a few times about, they wanted to make a level comfortable to them, and then they chose to make that level like World 2 or World 3, right? And then they take that and take a couple easier, take a little bit of the challenge out, make it stupidly easy for the first few levels. And even then, like World 2 or 3 they're not that hard in the game, so they were fairly friendly even with what they were trying to do. But it was always with the intent of, this is supposed to be fun, right? Whereas getting kind of back to what we've talked about already, so Mario Maker 2, I feel like on its surface, this should be a game about making Mario levels. What it actually is, in my experience, is making Mario physics play like other games. Like, if you go through and search levels right now, you can find a dozen remixes of Mega Man levels, probably a few thousand of them. You can find a whole bunch of like levels built on like single gimmicks that this person thought of and thought was interesting and such. There's a ton of levels, that are all just based on speed running really tight, or I'm going to make a game that kind of feels like the dungeon from Legend of Zelda 2, right? There's a bunch of like, when people don't have great ideas for how to make an actual Mario level, what they tend to do is, I'm going to make this other level and make Mario fit into it. And that doesn't feel like a Mario level to me. You guys kind of get that?
There is an argument that Nintendo is on board with that idea, because when they added Link in, that's exactly what they did. He still jumps around like Mario, but they're using Mario physics work like, the original Zelda games in a way, like certain powers and whatnot. I think they're encouraging it. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it does feel like
it actually makes sense for them, because I would say, like, when Mario Maker was first originally coming out, I was like, well, how is 2D Mario ever going to compete with this ever in the future, right? There's going to be thousands of levels here. Now I'm like, oh, I would love a new 2D Mario.
Yeah, my take on this game, it's like the stuff dreams were made of when we were kids, right? I mean, I remember drawing Mario levels out, being bored in school, and like, oh, I wish I could make a game, and da 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 da, and all this game made me realize is sometimes kids' dreams aren't really that well thought out and should just stay dreams.
Wow. And so you're a public school teacher trying to crush kids' dreams?
Yeah.
All right.
Some of them, yeah.
Only the bad ones.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'll just let you put that twist on it. I'm not going to defend it. This game is just, it has everything on paper to be amazing. You read about it and it should be.
It sounds like the best game ever made.
And you have moments where it is, but then you have so many where it's not. It's like having a TV series where like 3 episodes in the season were incredible, but does that justify the rest of the season being kind of eh? Like all of us have very limited gaming time. If I have an hour in the evening, I don't want to spend 55 of those minutes going through levels to find 5 minutes of awesome. And even if
That'd be Spike Land with a 0.1% clear rate. Yep.
Yeah. And even if I do find an awesome level, it almost feels hollow because it's just jointed from everything else. It's just this little singular experience, and I go, "Oh, that was really neat." And then I just move on to something else, typically not a good level, which why I'm really glad we did this as game of the month. Playing levels within a community where the creators and there's certain themes, and we kept emphasizing, and for the most part, people did pretty good. We kept putting in the instructions to people, make this accessible, keep it easy, keep it fun. So that was a big, I think, advantage of doing this as our game of the month, is then we kind of had some nice curated levels that were fun to experience without having to go through all this mess that we've been discussing.
And I think it worked out really well, to be honest, because a lot of the levels created from our community are actually some of my favorite levels in the game now.
The part that we were talking about earlier, where we were saying, is this an evergreen game or is this not an evergreen game? I had a lot of non-gaming stuff to do over the last 3 weeks, so I am really excited that we have this, big list of levels. There's a particular theme. There are creators that I know through Discord. Everyone join Discord, please. And I think it is going to be something that I'm going to look through over the next month, 2 months, 3 months. I think Mario Maker on Switch works best as one arrow in your quiver. Unless you are a particularly talented or masochistic human being, you might not want to play Mario Maker for 4 hours a day every day of the week, but it needed to be on Switch. There was a huge FOMO for me as a Switch only player who never had a Wii U. It was not optional for it not to be on the Switch, in my opinion. And now that it's there, I mean, yeah, things could be improved in it, and I think that I'm still ecstatic that it exists.
I think that's a really good take, because I'm happy that this game exists too. I'm happy that I've played it. There's a lot of like lingering questions about certain things here and there, but the number of just like sheer stupidity type levels that I've played. I remember one level a while back where I don't even know how it was made, but Luigi was trying to kill Mario and he kept popping up and being kind of like a horror movie. It was just really funny. Every level that TJ has ever made, including one where you're trying to get home, but all these Goombas are getting destroyed. Oh, man. Like every level that Sonic King has ever made that actually does feel like Mario levels. Every level that Egg Shen has made, where like there's like, it's like the most beautiful kind of those enemies are everywhere type stages. Like enemies are everywhere, but it's also a hilariously fun stage. Every one he makes, I don't know how he does it. It's crazy. So I mean, there's a lot of like really golden moments. One thing I want to point out: so the Matt Thorson, the creator of Celeste, actually makes Mario Maker levels. There's a ton of them out there. They're really hard, but they're also very good quality. So if you're into that, kind of challenge, but actually like good challenge, definitely check him out. But so I do want to say that I loved playing the levels that people created, just because you kind of got a feel for the types of levels that each person wanted to make, right? Everybody kind of has their own little style, which was really interesting to see that style morph through the different themes each week. Like traditionally I either make puzzle levels or speedrun levels. Like when I say speedrun, I mean typically I like the momentum type levels. Hold right for a little while and then do a wall jump and then hold left for a little, that kind of thing. I love that kind of stuff. Waluigi 3030 really enjoyed making like these really intricate like maze levels with paths everywhere, and made one of probably my favorite, well, my two favorite Zelda themed levels.
Link underwater is great. I mean, he feels a little
That was
bit like
so good.
there's a NES game, Jaws, where you have a submarine, and the submarine, underwater has like I think Link is better underwater than Mario for sure with Mario physics.
Well, it almost kind of felt like a Zelda game. So his level was you're cruising around underwater trying to find all the cheeps so you can kill them to get the win condition, which was something added for this game. I'll get to that in a second. But it felt like an exploration type game. It felt more like a Zelda game being underwater, which was really weird, but it just kind of worked.
There's that one dungeon in Link's Awakening where there's some, at least wateriness, and I mean,
Yeah.
that might have been my favorite Link's Awakening dungeon. I think water and Link go together, and I think Link is, I mean, underutilized, but really great underwater in Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, I never played an underwater Link level until this game, or till this Game of the Month challenge, and I'm with you. I was actually pleasantly surprised how well that worked out, and I don't know. I guess I keep sounding negative on this game. I'm with you guys. I'm glad it's on the Switch. I've had a lot of brilliant moments and a lot of fun moments with it when we got together and played our multiplayer levels, even with the lag. It was a blast going through those levels together. It's a great community game. I just don't think it's a great game with just random people. One of my favorite times was when I was speedrunning back and forth with Dr. Fact on this level that Eggshen made. And we're trying to optimize it, and we're knocking off like thousandths of a second. We're going back and forth, giving each other a hard time, and that's when this game can be a lot of fun, is when it pulls you together with friends. I won't mention that Daryl came in and crushed our souls on his very first try, but I mean, but moments like that, I mean, this you can't really create that with any other game, and so this game does have its magic in there. I think where I get frustrated is just we're kind of conditioned, right, with Mario being Nintendo's flagship IP, that we almost just expect perfection and for the magic to kind of almost always work, and when it doesn't, you just feel like this extra level of disappointment that's probably not objective or fair. It's just we've been conditioned for 35 years with Mario just to be amazing all the time, and this game is, I mean, it is of stellar quality. I guess I do like it, even though I probably haven't sounded like I have all episode. I do like it so much. I just want it to be even better because it does have so much potential.
I think you're showing that you like it because you want it to be better. If you didn't like it, you just, not want
You'd
to
want it to go away.
Yeah.
That's true. And I mean, like I said, it's also always gonna have nostalgia for it now. It's my son's first Nintendo or Mario game, and he's been making impressive progress on it.
I will say that those title screen levels are always fantastic.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but I love those levels. Anyways.
Yeah, he beat one of the harder ones too. I heard the little flag music go off, and I was like, "What?" And I ran over there, and he's all smiling and clapping, and I was like, "Dude, that was awesome." But Kellen, what's your take overall on this game? I mean, we've been kind of up and down all over on it, but what are your overall feelings on it?
Yeah, a couple of my thoughts as you guys were talking is that the beauty of this game is whatever you're looking for in a Mario game, it's there. Like if you're a hardcore speedrunner, if you want to compete
True.
with thousands of other great players around the world and you want to shave off that thousandth of a second and you really try to optimize a level, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of just like hardcore speedrunning levels in the game. If you're looking for really fun levels, there are fun creators that have that available. If you're looking for underwater levels, they're there. I think the frustration in this game comes from just finding what you want, because there are just hundreds of thousands of levels to sift through, and you can play through 20 of them and you can like one, or you can search for 15, 20 minutes for a level that really satisfies you and you may not even find it. And so I just feel like it's really a missed opportunity because so much is available to play. And we're just talking like playing levels, not even making them, but it's finding them that's most frustrating to me. And I feel like I'd play a lot more if it just like recognized my play history and then started recommending levels, or if there's just any sort of curation system that made it easier to find what I'm looking for. Overall, I feel like it's a great game, but I just feel like there are missed opportunities. And if they ever do a Mario Maker 3, I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially in that area.
I agree with that, and I think part of that stems from this mysterious, like, overall lack of support for this game. We see the amount of support, say Splatoon 2 had, or obviously Smash Brothers, and I know
ARMS had a lot of support, had periodic updates.
Yeah, like this was like, we're gonna give you a Friends update soon, and then it was like 6 months, and now here we are. We haven't heard anything. There's still that mysterious blank spot for another style. Even the Ninja speedruns, like they don't put those courses out that often, and it just feels like if Nintendo supported it more and it could add these quality of life things we're all clamoring for, like Kellen said, this curation system, all of that's doable. It's been done before. I just feel like if Nintendo gave this game more spotlight, it would go from good to amazing.
I was under the impression that the Ninja speedruns were going to be weekly, that there was going to be a new one available every week, and it was kind of shocking that it was, what is it, monthly? Is that what they've averaged?
Yeah, it's
Something
not very
like that,
often, yeah.
There's a lot of ways that this game is a lot better than Mario Maker 1. The tools that they give you, everybody talks about slopes, but there's a lot of stuff in here that was not in Mario Maker 1 that makes it a much better game overall. But you've also lost a lot of stuff. But the stuff that you've gained, I mean, I don't want to gloss over, like, win conditions are fantastic. Customizables, auto scrolling is fantastic. A lot of the extra tools. Yeah, vertical is great.
Vertical levels.
I loved making that. Yeah, your Tumblesea levels completely based on that.
Yep.
So there's a lot of really improvements, but also you've lost a lot from Mario Maker 1, which is kind of interesting in that, you know, like we talked about the level, the website and such before. There's just this overall level of like excitement. Like Mario Maker 1, you had to like gradually unlock the tools as you went, which was a little annoying, but I actually kind of saw why they were doing it, so that, you know, you wouldn't instantly be able to fill all your levels with Hammer Brothers. You'd have to kind of earn that. I think it was a little too limited, but it was something to at least try to guide the players. Also, there were like periodic updates adding more items and such. And this one has had that a little bit. It had the friend multiplayer, it had the Zelda thing, it had the Ninja speedrun thing. But yeah, it feels really quiet. Like, it feels like they released it and this was just the game they wanted to release, and that was just kind of it. And I'm curious to see if that extra theme or anything will ever come to fruition. I kind of don't think it will, to be honest.
Part of me wonders if the extra theme, or maybe at least some extra, placeable items, gimmicks and blocks and that sort of thing, are being saved for the 35th anniversary, at least the rumored 35th anniversary announcement with, ports and remasters and all that.
But if those games come out, this game's going to go to the wayside.
Oh yeah.
But it's just going to be like too little too late. They needed some like monthly nods to this game. I think it's such a community-based game. It's the perfect game to have small frequent updates. I mean, I hope you're right. I'd love to see a big 35th anniversary addition to this game. Like you said, it is an evergreen. I mean, if I never bought another system, I could 3 years, 4 years from now boot this game back up and it'd still be fresh. But I don't know. It just feels like such a missed opportunity. I'm torn between it's good, but it could be so much more.
It feels like it has potential to be like game of the decade, and it's just not there. Like, to be fair, it feels like it has all the potential in the world, and it's just not quite there because people inherently aren't very good at making levels, and Nintendo didn't support it quite enough or really direct those people who are not very good at making levels. So what the game ended up with is a ton of bloat, and we just kind of, that was always going to be kind of what this game is going to be, because there are people who just want to throw spikes in their levels and release them. You know, that's just a thing. But some sort of sorting or searchable or something to help players find stuff that they're actually going to like. If there were ever going to be a Mario Maker 3, that would be my number one. Like, that's what I want. Give me some way to find what I'm going to like,
Yeah, and they added those tags but let's face it, they've been mostly useless. I mean, they're better than nothing. And you can like a creator, so then you get their levels in your feed. But I'm with you. I almost throw a little AI curation in there, and I mean, if there is a Mario Maker 3, I'd have to assume there's going to be. Yeah, hopefully they learn their lessons from this one.
Nintendo's kind of a, as far they're still a tech company, but obviously very famously old-fashioned and slow to, keep up with things. Looking at, I don't personally use Amazon, but my sister does, and she talks about brand new products that pop up like right at the time that she thinks she needs them. That when you mentioned AI and machine learning, obviously Mario Maker with not a whole lot of expense could really benefit from a bunch of servers playing through all these levels and giving us better recommendations as a result of how the servers fared on all of it. If you look at our individual completion percentages and see kind of a rough, we struggle with water levels personally, but we're much better with levels where they have really narrow platforms. These are all things that machine learning could really, really work without a whole lot of expense at surfacing levels, really high quality recommended levels that are right up your alley.
Yeah, and I mean it has like liking tools in there too. So I mean it could be saying, well, you're more likely to like this kind of level, so let's throw this one and see if it's a double whammy, and if it is, then oh well, now you're on this playlist, right?
They don't seem to be utilizing any of that, and maybe Mario Maker 3 is the answer there.
It's kind of interesting in our Discord chat for this game of the month. Waluigi had made the comment that he noticed the stages that get the most likes that he's created have the highest clear level, have the highest clear rate. And so we definitely aren't in the minority where we like levels that are beatable and don't take an hour and make us pull all of our hair out. And so it's just interesting that those levels get so many likes, but then they can be hard to find. And I feel like I'm either left with levels that are very bland that have barely been played, or I'm left with these crazy intensive like ultra pro levels. It's just mystifying to me that these fun beatable levels get a ton of likes, but then I just can't seem to find them unless someone gives me the like level code. It's frustrating.
I don't know why Nintendo just can't add a simple edit like that. Why can't we filter by percent completion? Hey, don't give me levels unless the completion rate's 50% or better. Something small like that seems so simple, and it adds so much quality to this game, and it's just frustrating we don't see Nintendo looking to make these changes.
I've seen a lot of it almost feels like Mario Maker 2 are almost made for a subset of gamers who, are first off really good at Mario, but then also are, content creators where they're streaming, they are creating levels that then other people are doing. They certainly catered very, well to that crowd. One of the things that I've enjoyed watching, and it can obviously take up way too much of your time, is the AGDQ, the Awesome Games Done Quick competitions, and they have some blind speedrun style competitions where there's two teams and they've never seen any of these levels before, but they know that they are, beatable but high quality, tough, tournament level. And these guys, just as they slowly figure things out, it's a really, really riveting video for me. And then the counterpart to that is they've also designed task bots, these tool assisted speedrun bots that will come in, and we were talking about machine learning earlier. The computer learns how to play each level, and I find it very surprising that even if Nintendo didn't want to go full, bot on it, that the completion percentage feels like there's just an unbelievable treasure trove of data in there. It's an internet connected game. They have an idea not just of how many people completed, but how many people got to halfway through, how many people quit out after 30 seconds. And I can just imagine, data scientists and, these sorts of statistical folks just seeing this treasure trove of data that if they were given access to it, they would really come up with some amazing lists of recommended levels.
Make a computer just optimize Mario levels. There you go. Yeah, and I do want to I want to kind of start wrapping this up, and I want to bring up one point. So we did see this game kind of just die off in about a month when it first released. It did really well and it was really fun, but then it just kind of left. I saw the same thing this month actually.
Yes.
So it was kind of interesting, like for the game of the month, like we hit it really hard and had a lot of involvement, and then that just, over time, I kind of expected it to taper off a little bit, and it did, and it did pretty hard, especially with Animal Crossing coming out. Well, it was just kind of interesting to see again that, kind of to you guys' point, this game feels like kind of a small dose type game. Play it for a little bit, have a lot of fun, and then before you get pissed off at it, put it down and play Happy Island Simulator.
Nice. I mean, I agree, and we saw. I mean, week 1 we had so many submissions I couldn't really keep up with them, and then week 2 it tapered off. Week 3 it fell hard. To where week 4 we didn't really have that many. I'm sure Animal Crossing and all of this going on is
for sure, yeah.
involved with part of it. But I think if there was no Animal Crossing and if there was no COVID-19, I kind of feel like we would have saw the same trend. It's like you said, it's just not a large dose game, even if we want it to be. But I've played, yeah, there's so many levels I've just played, 15 minutes in, I'm just beating this thing now because I'm so mad at it that I'm not going to let it conquer me. But like, I am not having fun anymore. Or even in the community levels, which some of it is I suck at this game. I'll just be honest. I'll just set it to 50. I was like, all right, I'm going to give it 50 tries. If I can't beat it, I'm out. So
that's very generous.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's a pretty decent way to do it, to be honest.
Well, a few levels I saw and I said, okay, that 50 is dropping to 5. But most of the levels, yeah, I'd give it, X amount of takes. I'd go high just to give the level a fair chance, because I'd also admit, it's not the creator's fault. I'm bad at this game. But you just hit a point where I'm like, why? I'm not having fun, and why else am I holding this controller right now?
And then there's the other side where you play a level and you're like, this is the best level I've ever played, and I'm gonna play this several times because it's really fun. And Waluigi made a couple of those. Big Shot, your water level for sure. I played that a few times. And Nathan, you made the upside down Mega Mario one, and that one was fantastic in my opinion. So I there were a few like super gems that I really, really enjoyed. Overall, I mean, the quality level of the community levels versus like random levels, it's not even on the same chart. Like, the community levels were great. I enjoyed this entire time. So thanks to everyone who participated. But speaking of those who participated, I actually kind of wanted to get into some of our community reviews a little bit. I asked a few questions. So we asked, had you played it before it was Game of the Month? And the answer was almost unanimously yes. Then I asked for like initial opinions, which was a lot of kind of what we've already talked about now. But kind of the interesting one was, and I'm going to ask you guys, how has your opinion changed on this game after playing it through this Game of the Month from what it was originally?
My opinion didn't change a lot, other than I think I'd like to make my future involvement mostly limited to our Discord community. It's a lot of fun when you play with friends. Otherwise, it's kind of Schrodinger's game. It's bad and good at the same time, and you don't know till you open it that day. So that's why I'm. But yeah, with friends, it's a great pop on. It hasn't really changed my opinion. I'm glad I got to give it another chance. I see that little tile on my home screen. I'm like, you know what? I gave you a fair shake. I don't just feel like it's this sad little game that just disappeared unfairly. But it's been a good experience overall. What about you guys, Nathan and Kellen?
I would say that I feel a little bit of regret for not having played it even more. I think that I echo all of your comments in terms of having a website, having recommended levels would get me in more. It is one of those games that one of the things that I really like about it is that it's there. It's not necessarily something I want to boot up every day, which is kind of a weird thing. Maybe that's just a hoarder mentality where you want to grab all the coins in the level, you want to grab all the games in the eShop, and you want to grab all the games in the Wii U eShop just because,
Absolutely,
people have fun with that. um, and I mean that's obviously not the right idea for a game. But I see it as something that I come back to monthly, and and it is funny when we talk about playing it for a solid month. That's too long. Maybe it's a game of the week, game of 2 week, style experience at best in small doses. But I'm looking forward to more small bites in the future.
Yeah, I definitely have to echo the points that you guys made coming back to this game. I think my biggest point that's really resonated with me is just that this is a community based game. And if you don't have that community pumping out quality levels to play or helping you find quality levels to play, it's really
Then
difficult.
join ours.
Yeah, so join ours because now everyone's playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
But
it's perfect.
yeah, I think I'll continue playing this game. I've definitely appreciated a lot more coming back to it. I don't know how much of the community is going to be pumping out levels now that the game of the month's over and everyone's kind of moved on to Animal Crossing. But I've definitely found myself diving into finding streamers and content creators that play this quite a bit. And it's been fun playing levels that they play. And so I think that's how I'm going to continue playing this game, maybe on a weekly or monthly basis, as was mentioned earlier. It's not like a daily type game for me, but it's fun watching someone on YouTube play a level and then typing the code in myself, knowing it's a quality level, and then trying to beat it myself. So I think that's definitely where it thrives, and that's my biggest takeaway from coming back to this game.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of the same way. Like we have a channel dedicated for Mario Maker. I have no intention of ever deleting that channel as long as it's not like just gathering dust. Just because like I do feel like there's a lot of stuff out there, and I do feel like, hey guys, try this level, and I'll jump in. Like of course I will. It's a game that I want to keep coming back to. Getting back into it for this game of the month actually opened my eyes to a little bit more of the holes in the game, a little bit more of the problems that I have with it, which was a little disappointing just because like I was always kind of the opinion that, okay, we didn't really give this game a fair shake, and it kind of got eaten alive by Fire Emblem and such. But no, it kind of just is a function of this game, to be honest, and it's not quite at the level that I thought it was, which was an interesting realization to make. I still had a lot of fun, and I do really really like the directed challenges type method of playing and making in this game. But it was kind of interesting to come back to it and just kind of realize, well, this is just kind of what Mario Maker is, and that's okay. It's an above average good game. Like I enjoyed it. But I don't think it's at quite the same tier level that I would have put it originally, which was a little bit eye opening for me. I wanted to touch on two of our listeners' responses to it. So, Swilly, I asked, has your opinion changed after this game of the month? He said, no, devs should be the makers, we should be the players. Agreed. Then Dragon said the game of the month was interesting because he didn't feel he was creative, didn't really feel he had a creative bone, but he spent the last month making levels and working under weekly deadlines really inspired him. So he said it added structure to the game, and that's what he really appreciated by it. The opinion of the game hasn't changed that much, but he did enjoy learning the creative aspects, which was cool to see because I do feel like he really kind of grew in his level designs over the course of the month too, which was, each one was a little more intricate, a little different and shaded a little differently, and I actually enjoyed playing all of them. So that was a lot of fun. So now's the fun time. So I'm gonna ask you guys on the show for permanent record, on a scale from 1 to 10, what score would you give this game?
7.5 plus or minus 0.1.
It's very accurate. It has a tolerance on it. I like it. Okay.
Oh, it's so hard to rate. On the survey, I gave it an 8, and I think I still stand by that. And I don't want to rate the game and hold it hostage because some people don't know how to use it or how to make quality levels. I try to distinguish that from the game itself because the game itself sets you up to make great levels. It comes with 100 great Nintendo curated and created levels, which is great. And so overall, I feel like it's still a solid game at an 8, even though you can go through a bunch of levels that'll make it feel like a 1 or 2. Overall, I still think it's a solid game. It gives you tools, but I'm not going to discount it because people don't know how to use them.
I think it's a 9, but that's a hopelessly biased 9. It is a dream of mine in 2015. Was 2015, right, for the first Mario Maker?
I believe so, yeah.
When they announced that, it just seemed like such an unbelievably magical thing. I thought about getting a Wii U. I already heard that it wasn't a good investment, so I was waiting for the next thing. But I mean, I bought a Switch for 2 games primarily, both from the Wii U, Splatoon and Mario Maker. Those are the 2 things that I watched so much YouTube while I was waiting for the new system to come out. There were things that I could not wait to get into, and I did think that, ports and whatnot, that they would show up earlier. I can't say that it is a 9 for everyone, but it's a 9 for me, having grown up with an NES, always wanted to make levels, having this intense desire since 2015, hearing that the game existed somewhere. I also didn't have a 2DS or 3DS. These were hard decisions to look at it on the shelf and know that Mario Maker existed for them and avoid. And with the release of Mario Maker 2, I don't want a Wii U anymore, and I don't want a 2DS or 3DS anymore, and so that's where that 9 comes from.
That's cool. I think for me, I'm in the realm of 7.5 to 8, depending on when you ask me. But just hovering just under an 8. Again, good game, really solid game. There are a few things that just kind of irked me, like lag in multiplayer between me and TJ, which we don't lag in any other game, which was really interesting. And like the inability to actually effectively make and test multiplayer levels. So things like the respawning crates actually led to a soft lock that does not show up when you're testing those levels, which is really, really frustrating. And co-op levels were impossible to test, which was also kind of frustrating. But yeah, overall, I did definitely, I do think this is a good game. I do think it's worth a pickup. I don't think that in any way this replaces the concept of 2D Mario. I think it is a side project, which is kind of the way my eyes have been opened as part of this game of the month. But yeah, I think it's a good game.
Could I give a little speculation related to that?
Yeah.
So 2D Mario, they haven't released a new one since the new Super Mario Brothers U, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I am hoping that means a new art style, maybe the hand-drawn stuff that looks like the instruction manuals from the NES. That's been a very often speculated item. Part of me wonders and is hoping that the announcement of a new 2D Mario with a new art style is coupled with that new art style being the next Mario Maker style. And that feels like such a great marketing thing. People who love 2D Mario are going to want to have both of these games. They're going to want to have the unbelievably polished new game that is hopefully coming out at some point, and they're going to want to make things in that new style that looks, in this new and vibrant, fresh way. And I would like to see Mario Maker 2 used in the way that Smash is, where there's cross promotion and there's the different things are appearing at different times. Right now we have Link. Maybe we get Samus or something else coupled with a new Metroid game. And it would be really cool if it was a living game like Smash, partly as an advertisement. That's what I want out of it going forward.
That almost makes too much sense.
You heard it here first on NJP. New 2D Mario coming, integration with Mario Maker confirmed.
I love it. And then going back to the listeners, so Dragon called Mario Maker 2 solidly above average, which is almost exactly what I was trying to get at. Highlighted it's basically a fun game, but lack of transparency in updates and with being so few and far between. Yeah, so it's just kind of in this weird little place, but yeah. And then so Thunder Road actually said thought it was great to experience all the different ways to play a Mario game. It was challenging at times, but was so redeeming when I was able to finally finish a level I tried to pass. and there's no limit to possibilities or challenges, so that's cool. But yeah, in terms of overall score, I mean, everybody kind of hovered between 7 and 8. So we'll give it roughly an 8. So very, very solid game. But we do want an actual 2D Mario, right? Anybody disagree with that?
You're spot on.
All right. And just for some fun questions, I asked, do you prefer making or playing levels in this game? 71% of people prefer playing them. I don't understand. How could you prefer playing levels in this game? We've gone for so long talking about how awful the created levels are. Anyways, most people enjoyed the water auto-scroll vertical sub-level week, which was really interesting. And then finally I asked, are you going to continue making and playing levels now? So now the Game of the Month is over, and we've officially reviewed it, and we're moving on. What do you guys think? Are you gonna keep playing this game?
I will probably if I see community members jump on, or Dr. Fact tags me to challenge me in a speed run again, or any of you guys do. I don't see me on my own initiative just picking it up. I have the Switch library is large. They're just other go-to games for me.
Yeah, I still see myself playing this pretty consistently. Like I mentioned earlier, not daily, but probably weekly or monthly. And I would like to still utilize the Discord channel for Mario Maker. I want to go through and find levels that I've enjoyed each week and, share codes with you guys, because I feel like people do want to play this game. They just don't want to sift through and find the good levels, which I don't mind doing every now and then. So not to self-promote myself to Mario Maker ambassador of the Nintendo Jump podcast, but
You're hired.
I feel like
confirmed.
Right.
I got one quick mention on our survey. One of my nephews filled out the survey at my request, and the last question was, "Are you going to continue making and playing levels now?" And he wrote maybe ... And I think it's hilarious that Thunder Road on the Discord had the identical response to question 10. Are you going to keep playing and making levels now? He also said maybe ... And I think that's maybe a consensus there that a small nudge with updates or some sort of feature in one way or the other could really push a lot of people to continue playing.
I'm gonna blow your mind a little bit here. 71% of people answered that exact same way. I gave them yes, no, or maybe, and nope, maybe. We don't know.
But nobody said no, so the door's still open.
Nobody said no.
That about sums this game up, right? 71% maybe, but nobody's a no on it.
Yeah, perfect. And what better way can we wrap it? Any other thoughts on Mario Maker before we kind of put this game of the month to rest? This was one of my favorite game of the months, to be honest. I've really enjoyed doing this, so definitely give a shout out to everybody who's been involved with that. You guys have any final thoughts on the game?
Just echoing you, a quick thank you to everybody involved. It was the people that really made this what I feel was our best game of the month, the most fun. So thanks to everybody that got involved making and playing levels.
All right, and with that, I mean, we did originally talk about a few prizes for this, and maybe unbeknownst to people, we have been keeping track of a few things over the course of it. So we do want to announce a few prizes. TJ, you want to take this?
I can. We had 3 categories, and our first was for the best speedrunner overall. And this is going to probably shock and awe a lot of you who are familiar, but that goes to our man Dragon. So congratulations, Dragon. Yay. And then we have an overall award for level creation based on votes and just overall quality. So that award goes to our man Egg Shen.
Yeah,
well deserved.
And then we had one that was kind of a random number generator. We had a point system going throughout the month, and each point was an entry into the generator. And, breaking news live, our man Big Shot Kellen, you won our random prize.
Oh, man, on the spot.
On the spot. Congratulations.
Congrats to all of you. You will be getting some nice little eShop credit very shortly. Anyways, with all that said, I think we're gonna wrap it. We do have a question from last week and a new one, I think, to follow up on. And TJ, you're gonna do the honors.
Yes, to keep with Animal Crossing taking over everything, the question from last week is, what is your favorite island, real or not? Dragon answered his favorite island is Destiny Islands, and he said he's loopholing it as usual. It's from Kingdom Hearts, unfortunately. And Sergio wrote in, since he's not with us, he said the Dog Island. It's like Animal Crossing, only good and fun. Oh, no, he said, but with only dog villagers. So that's the only few write-ins we got this week. Mine is the Isle of Skye off the west coast of Scotland. It's probably my favorite place in the entire world. What about you guys? Your favorite island, real or not?
My favorite is Caladesi Island in Clearwater, Florida.
That's a good pick.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
I mean, it was part of my childhood. It's super accessible. There's a ferry that goes to it. Used to be able to walk to it at low tide from Clearwater Beach. You could just walk along the little the cut through the barrier island chain there, and that was just a really magical thing to me as a kid. And they had snow cones, and I just have a lot of really positive childhood memories at Caladesi Island.
Very nice. Kellen, what about you? Favorite island?
Oh man, well, I don't live in Florida, I live in Utah, so this whole concept of island is a little foreign to me.
Utah is kind of an island on its own.
Yeah, I guess it is. Thinking about Animal Crossing and being on an island, I love hanging out with friends there, crafting, harvesting wood, rock, building, fishing, the map's constantly changing. And for all those reasons, my favorite island is the Fortnite Battle Royale island.
Absolutely.
Nice.
The reason for that is it's by far my most played game. I just crossed a shameful 900 hours in it.
Oh, wow.
But the game has, as controversial as it is in the eyes of gamers, it's meant so much to me personally. A lot of my friends have played the game. It's the only game that my wife will play with me. I've been able to play games with my brother, who's been a little bit distant lately, and so being able to just start up, throw on a headset, talk with someone, and just play and work together towards a common goal. That island's just meant a lot to me over those 900 hours, so that's got to be my answer.
Very nice, very nice. All right, Daryl, hit us with your best shot.
For me, I put out the poll, and I did end up naming my Animal Crossing island Windfall Island, which is from Wind Waker, which has so many that I could pick, but I'm not going to do that because that just feels like cheating a little bit at this point. So I'm going to go actually with Isle Delfino, or Isla Delfino, from Super Mario Sunshine, which is part of the rumored massive 3D remakes of Mario games coming. So here's hoping that happens. That just seems like a happy place, and I would love to visit. I like the music.
That was my first 3D Mario, was Sunshine. Kind of a weird
so sorry.
thing, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it is a happy place.
It's a great pick. Maybe we'll all be there soon if these rumors are true. So, all right. Well, we got a question for this coming week. If you were to describe your personality using just one word, what would it be? And Serge notes, bonus points if you use one of the 8 Animal Crossing personality types. So describe your personality in one word. I did not write the question. So, all right. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening, but it's time for us to jump on out of here. If you'd like to show support for the show, the 2 best ways you can do that is to find us on patreon.com. We're listed as Nintendo Jump. Or please give us a review on your podcast application of choice under the Nintendo Jump podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter. We're at Nintendo Jump. And in our Twitter bio, you'll find links to join our Discord and to see our blog. We are also on Facebook and Instagram as at Nintendo Jump. And otherwise, we thank everybody for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
We have no clever ending. Kevin's not here to hum, so that's it. You can you can quit listening now. No, really, you can stop. It's
Show's
done.
over, guys.
Somebody's gonna hum. If they wait long enough, someone will hum. That's what I've been taught.
Maybe my son will come out here or make music play over the speakers again. No, that's it. Okay, you can stop listening now. Okay, bye.
It's over. Bye.
See you guys.